It's right there for us. Plain as day. That makes complete sense. So there's more updates right around the corner. And as of right now, about an hour ago, we have more updates from the Throne developers themselves regarding loot distribution rules, as well as the siege that is coming up right around the corner. If you are interested in knowing more about any of these topics, then stick around and we will be covering this now. If you guys like the video, give it a like. If you want to see more videos from me, consider subscribing. It's absolutely free. And if you want to join our stream sometime, check out my stream for the links down in the description below. But coming up right around the corner, there are new loot distribution rules. I have not gone over any of this, so this will be some fresh reactions, but let's see what they have in store for us. Conquer devious field bosses, courageously explore abyss dungeons, and more in pursuit of Silesium's greatest treasures. Before we dive into loot rules, you'll first need to understand contribution and event items. They did mention that they were going to come out with the contribution guide and stuff like that, so hopefully we see kind of some of those details in this. So let's see what they have to say. Contribution is earned by doing damage against the enemy and healing friendly players in battle while said enemy is active. Contribution from healing is acquired for healing players both in and out of your party when participating in guild level events, field bosses. Event items, loot dropped during dynamic events that is collected to turn in for event progress. For example, wolf tails in the wolf hunting event. So here is an overview of loot distribution by activities. So for general activities, open world farming, abyss dungeon farming, quests, contracts, dynamic events, co-op dungeons, excluding the final reward chest, applicable enemies, normal elite, party elite. For the distribution rules, when an enemy dies, loot is assigned to the player who first earned contribution, dealt damage, in this case, to said enemy. So you go into an open world dungeon, you tag an enemy, they continue to keep that orange color. If the mob does not belong to you, the enemy gets grayed out. If the player is in a group, the loot is assigned to the player's party instead. In this case, the drops from the enemy have equal chance of distribution across all party members. The only exception is party members that have no contribution and are out of range will be excluded from the drop pool. All items are evenly distributed when possible. This means when there are 10 items dropped for a party of 5, each player should receive 2 items. If even distribution is not possible, it will randomly select a player to receive extra drops. Solent, and experience are distributed evenly. For peace mode bosses and guild raids, the field bosses and arc bosses are applicable enemies. The distribution rules for these: when a peace mode field boss dies, all players are sorted by individual player contribution. A guild's overall contribution does not play a role for peace mode bosses and guild raids. Players must meet a minimum contribution to be eligible to receive loot from the boss. There are 2 drop types that come from peace mode bosses. The contribution drops. Each item is distributed based on a chance according to individual contribution. Random drops. Each item is randomly provided only to remaining players who did not receive one of the contribution drops. And a single player is only eligible to receive one of these drops. In other words, a single player cannot receive more than one epic equipment item from a single boss encounter. Solent and experience, again, are distributed evenly. So an example they have here is, let's assume that a field boss drops the following loot when defeated: 1 sword, 1 mask, 1,000 solent, random drops, 1 boots. Assuming you've met the minimum contribution requirement described above, if your contribution was 3% of the total contribution, you would have a 3% chance of acquiring either the sword or the mask. All players that met the minimum contribution requirement would have an equal chance to acquire the boots, regardless of total contribution. Any player who receives epic equipment is unable to attain a second piece of equipment from the same boss hill. It's right there for us. Plain as day. That makes complete sense. For conflict mode bosses, however, this is where it's going to get interesting, which is applicable to field bosses and arc bosses. Loot is assigned in a 2-stage process. First, loot is assigned to a guild, then the loot is assigned to the players within the guild. When a field boss dies during conflict mode, a guild's contribution is calculated as the sum of the individual contribution for each player in the guild who participated in the fight. The guilds are then sorted based on contribution. Guilds must meet a minimum contribution to be eligible to receive loot from the boss. Loot items are distributed based on a chance according to the guild's contribution. So unlike peace mode bosses, dying to an enemy or another player during a conflict mode boss will result in the dying player losing 70% of their individual contribution, meaning it reduces the guild's total contribution at the end of the match. Once a guild has been assigned an item, all participating players within the guild have an equal chance to obtain the item, and then Solent and experience are distributed evenly. So your goal during these conflict bosses is to stay alive and kill the enemy to increase your chances and lower theirs. So let's assume the field boss drops the following when defeated: 1 sword, 1 mask, 1,000 Solent. If player A, B, and C had 10%, 15%, and 20% contribution respectively, and all belong to the same guild, then the guild's total contribution would be 45%. That means the guild would have a 45% chance to acquire the sword and mask. If the guild successfully acquired the mask, then player A, B, and C would each have an equal chance to receive that mask. I mean, that makes pretty much great sense. The more contribution, higher your percentage, higher the percentage, bigger chances at loot, lower your chances, kill the opposing opponent. And then we have claim the throne in the next castle siege to ensure you almost never have to worry about valuable loot again. And then we have siege. Assemble your guild and prepare to storm the castle. The first castle siege begins on November 17th, 1600 local server time. Assemble your guild and prepare to storm the castle. You heard it, November 17th. That is 12 days away from the making and release of this video. So get ready, get geared up, get armed, because the true competition and true contest is about to begin. But as far as that goes, I think we're gonna close this off right here. If you guys are enjoying the videos, please be sure to leave them with a like. If you guys want to get updated on more information on the game, definitely subscribe. And if you're looking to learn more about the game, definitely consider subscribing and go check out some of the guides that I've also made. But thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for watching. If you guys are hanging out in the stream right now, listening to me read this, thanks for chilling with me. Links for my stream will be down in the description down below. Feel free to come hang out sometime if you guys ever want to just shoot the shit with us. But as far as that goes, that's where we're going to close this off. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys here in the next one. Peace.